That was Prince Kiss. Enough with the hand wringing and the consternation. If I hear one more media personality ask the question, where was security? We know exactly where it was. Let's stop saying phrases and asking questions that we are very familiar with the answers with. Let's be clear. Those thugs did not breach the Capitol. They did not storm the walls. They were invited in. They did not breach the Capitol. They walked past the police at the invitation of the President of the United States of America. Because that audio you heard of him trying to intimidate the Secretary of State from Georgia, all the calls he's made or Twitter threats he's made to people who disagree with him and to who he tries to intimidate to make people see things in a way. He couldn't get them to do it, but he could his followers. He weaponized them. He sicked them on people. You see videos right now and pictures of people who are supposed to be responsible for the security of our nation's leaders opening barricades and let them in. Opening barricades and letting them in and taking pictures. When you open doors and take pictures, those are not people that you are scared of. Those are guests. They were invited in. Where was security? Well, I know that earlier in the summer, when Donald Trump wanted to make a point, he weaponized federal agents. He sent them to Portland and had them snatching people off the streets. He made them take off their badges and take off their paraphernalia so you couldn't identify them. When he wanted to make a point, he had federal officers, unidentified, riding through the streets, shooting tear gas at people so he could walk across the street and take a picture of a church. We know where they were. He called them off. He made them stand back and stand by. That's exactly what happened. Let us be clear. He is lying to people to weaponize them, but these are people who clearly wanted to be lied to. He was abetted by several congressmen, dozens and dozens of congressmen, and several senators. While this nation burned, he did it on purpose, and he's done it at every turn. He tried to do it all through the process. The elected officials in Pennsylvania, whether it was some in Georgia and Atlanta, he has done it all over the country, trying to get what he wants, which is a victory, and trying to get people to break the law for him. And when that didn't fail, he was right in that debate. Stand back and stand by, because he knew he could call his goons in and they would act. And if you're truly aggrieved, if you're truly worried about your voice not being heard, what was with the nooses and the Confederate flag? What did it have to do with a rigged election? Let's be clear. He weaponized those people. He sicked them on his enemies. He let them go. And the officers that are supposed to be protecting people were part of it. They moved out of the way. No one told them to be ready because they were having guests over. Donald Trump did exactly what he has been trying to do since he lost this election, which was make people break the law for him. This time he had willing participants. Willing participants. So let us stop. If I hear one more personality at Fox say violence is not the way, violence isn't the way. Well, why was it the way when you were lauding the attributes of Kyle Rittenhouse, who killed 2 people? Wasn't that violence? This was what you courted and wanted all the time. If the Senate had acted earlier last year, then more people would be alive and the buildings wouldn't be burned down and our reputation wouldn't be in tatters. You let this happen because of cowardice, and you're an accomplice. Stop wringing your hands asking where was security. They were standing back and standing by. They were doing exactly what you knew they would. And everybody who swore on oath through the Constitution and then championed causes like that is complicit too. Donald Trump is no more than a thug, and he sicked his goons on his enemies. That's what every thug I've ever known has done. This has nothing to do with you thinking the voting process is flawed. You think the voting process is flawed? If I hear one more person get on and say, well, we need to fix the voting system. You know why? Donald Trump is not, he didn't get voted out of office because the voting system didn't work. He got voted out of the office because it did. If you believe that your agreement is that your voices have not been heard since November 3rd of 2020, imagine how aggrieved you would be if your voices hadn't been heard since 1619. You are complicit, and everybody who looks the other way, everybody who knew that this would happen, everybody who wore a red hat, now that is a scarlet letter, and there's literal blood on your hands. Think of all the people who would be alive right now if you had just acted in January. Think of all the people who would be alive right now if you didn't make these moral equivalences like they're all the same and I'm not going to vote. Think of all the people who would be alive right now if you had the courage to impeach, but you didn't. And now we have this. And it's something you always knew would happen. Stop wringing your hands, asking what happened. This is not the darkest day in America. This is the culmination of what we all knew would happen. Those men and women who breached, who went into the Capitol, they were not, to a lot of people, they weren't protesters. They were coming home. They can do the same reason that you can have white protesters, armed protesters break into the Capitol building without suspicion is the same reason you can park a van full of explosive in Nashville without suspicion. Because white is right. They can't see them because they are them. There's a little note from the GED section. We got the Jazz Report coming up in 15 minutes. It's the D.L. Hughley Show.